You, and I hope you enjoy it. We're going to be talking about 5 real life horror stories. Now, if you're like me, you like horror. You like reading scary books, watching scary movies. But the reason I like watching them and reading them so much is because I know they are not real. I imagine what's going on in my head, but at the end of the night, I can sleep peacefully because I know it's not true. But these are examples of 5 real life horror stories that you can't just imagine away or sleep away during the night. So let's begin with number 5, Death by Exorcism. I loved The Exorcist as a kid, even as an adult. It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. But in August of 2016, in North London, a 26-year-old by the name of Kennedy Effe began acting strange and aggressive following a pain in his throat. He had a sore throat. Following that incident, he allegedly bit his father, threatened to cut off his own genitals, and complained of a snake that was inside of him before his family restrained him to a bed with cable ties and what some would say is excessive force. Obviously, a violent man needs to be held down. But then the family set about trying to cure Kennedy through restraint and prayer over the next 3 days. His brother Colin told police, "It's clear that thing was in him, what we believed was a demon, because it was not natural. It was clearly trying to kill him. We had to restrain him for himself. It was clear if we didn't restrain him, he could have tried to harm people in our family." Kennedy had been bound to his bed for 3 days without medical attention when his brother called emergency services, explaining that Kennedy was complaining of dehydration. He appeared to have developed breathing issues and was pronounced dead at 10:17 a.m. All 7 of Kennedy's family members were accused of manslaughter, false imprisonment, and causing or allowing the death of a vulnerable adult. After a 4-day jury deliberation, all 7 family members were cleared of all charges on March 14th, 2019. Number 4, dead livestock in the walls. When the Brett Zeus family decided to insulate their home in Auburn, Pennsylvania in 2015, they had a kind of a strange discovery. They found out the walls had already been insulated. But The insulation was consisting of dead animal carcasses. As the local news reported, the dead animals were wrapped in newspapers from the 1930s and 40s and were among half-used spices and other items. After removing the items, they sent hundreds of artifacts and carcasses to an expert in a nearby town. Now, the expert attributed the rotting animals in their walls to powwow or Dutch magic, a ritual originating in the culture of the Pennsylvania Dutch to treat ailments and gain physical and spiritual protection. The Pennsylvania Dutch were a group of German-speaking settlers to Pennsylvania in the 16 and 1700s and are often of Lutheran, Mennonite, or Amish faiths. Many of the spells deal with the care of livestock, finding water, or the treatment of minor ailments. But powwow also has within it a tradition of darker spells, and even of such things as conjuring demons. The mold found on the rotting carcasses in the house has caused illnesses among the family members, and they say that the odor hasn't gone away. Number 3, Florida devil worship. If we're going to be talking about weird things and devil worship, Florida is the place to be. Friends notice that Danielle Harkins, a 35-year-old school teacher who lived near St. Petersburg, Florida, started acting strangely in June of 2012, developing an interest in demonic rituals. Soon after, she was arrested for abuse of 7 of her former students. And according to the Tampa Bay Times, Danielle Harkins told the kids they needed to rid their bodies of demons as a group gathered before dusk on Saturday around a small fire near the St. Petersburg Pier. They should cut their skin to let the evil spirits out. Then they needed to burn the wounds to ensure that those spirits would not return. When Harkins held a lighter to one teen's hand, wind blew the flame out. That prompted her to douse his hand in perfume before setting it on fire again. The boy suffered second-degree burns. Another teen was cut on the neck with a broken bottle. Harkins used a flame to heat a small key, which she then used to cauterize the wound. The police were notified because a friend of one of the students who participated in the ritual raised alarms. However, none of the students themselves told their parents about the event or would even comment following the arrest of Harkins for aggravated battery and child abuse. Number 2, the death of Elisa Lam. Now, Elisa Lam is a very well-known, unsolved mystery. But this is the last known video footage of her before she mysteriously, at first, just disappeared. Lamb was last seen on January 31st of 2013 in the lobby of the Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. She was vacationing through the West Coast, documenting the trip on her blog, checking in with her parents every day. On January 31, those calls stopped. She had vanished. Soon the police were involved and her parents arrived to help with the search. They had nothing. That February, LAPD released elevator surveillance footage of Lamb before her disappearance. The footage, which you are watching right now, shows Lamb behaving strangely in the elevator, appearing to talk with invisible people, peering around the corner of the door, crouching in the corner, and opening and closing the door. But what exactly is going on in this video has always raised more questions than answers. Theories range from a psychotic episode to demonic possession to unknown assailants just out of the camera's view. As you can see here, she walked outside, apparently talking or looking at someone or something. She came back inside. She's trying to push all the buttons to no avail. Around that time, hotel guests started reporting weird things happening with the water supply. People had said the water was awful. When you turned the tap on, the water was coming out black first, and then it was going back to normal. They also said it tasted horrible. It had a very funny, sweety, disgusting taste. A very strange taste, as people reported. On the morning of February 19, a hotel employee climbed to the roof and used the ladder to investigate the hotel's water storage tanks. That's where authorities found the decomposing naked body of Lamb, whose personal items were found nearby. After an autopsy, her death was labeled accidental. Now, according to reports, all these tanks you see here, they are sealed and they have locks and a metal latch. So how would a woman of her size and stature climb up on the roof, climb into one of the water tanks, unseal it, unhook the latch, which needed a key, and be found there naked? This is the big mystery. As you can see, the rescue team here, you can see just how large these tanks are. And remember that each one was sealed and locked at the time of her death. To this day, although some YouTube investigators have said they solved it, the official investigation remains unsolved. Was it a psychotic break? Was she being pursued and chased? Let me know in the comments. Finally, number 1, we have The Watcher. After moving into their $1.3 million dream home, a New Jersey family started receiving creepy death threats from someone who identified themselves as only The Watcher. Once they moved in, the owner said they have received numerous letters from the mysterious person, calling himself or herself The Watcher. They claim the home has been the subject of my family for decades, and I have been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming. The new owners also had several children, and others' letters asked, had they found out what's in the walls yet? And I am pleased to know your names now and the name of the young blood you have brought to me. The family was forced to flee from their home and later filed a lawsuit against the previous owners for having covered up the fact that the previous owner had also received the same threatening kind of letters. To this day, nobody knows who the Watcher is, if they were serious or just a prank, and we may never know. Thank you for watching. Like I said, I make these videos when I'm on a break from my regular uploads, walking around Cambodia, teaching in Cambodia, and that kind of thing. If you like my work and want to support me, please feel free to go to either of the links you see on your screen. They are also in the description box below. And every donation is appreciated, and it really, really matters. Whether you donate once through my PayPal or join my Patreon, you will receive exclusive videos, updates, pictures, and more. And all proceeds help support free education in Cambodia. Because that's what I do. I teach English. All right. I will talk to you guys in the next one.